Hello, this is your weekly celestial outlook for the week of October 24th, 2022. So, we have starting off the week on Monday, we have the moon conjunct Mercury in Libra. And Libra is all about harmony, it's all about getting along and balance. It's a very social place for the moon and Mercury. However, that same day on Monday, we have an applying square off to powerful Pluto later on that day with the moon, and then very early on Tuesday. So, what does that mean? Well, Libra is all about peace, harmony, getting along, and beauty. And Pluto is all about, with Capricorn, all about power. It's very conservative, very serious minded, and all about business and work. So there's a little bit of a conflict going on that day between our need for duty and wanting to connect and socialize and harmonize. But because Pluto is in Capricorn, it's a good day to get some work done. Just keep the balance between the peace and the business and the power. Now we also have Jupiter still going retrograde in Aries. Jupiter in Aries retrograde almost into the sign of Pisces. However, not yet, but soon to be a conjunction with that deceptive Neptune. However, that is connected with uncertainty or confusion. So, although it is not quite a conjunction yet, there may be some confusion in the air regarding issues of money, our career, or even our beliefs. It's about going back to the past and going back to prior jobs or ideas of making money. And because it's connected with our belief system, Jupiter is reminding us to go back and reconnect with our core beliefs, whether that be spirituality, philosophy. For some of you with Jupiter ruling education, this may be a time of going back into the past regarding study, going back to school, and so on and so forth. And when Jupiter then goes into Pisces, then there will be a conjunction with Neptune. So our interest will turn to that which is more spiritual and issues regarding water or regarding our intuition and how we feel about everything. But that has yet to come for another day. But for now, Jupiter is still retrograde and it is in the sign of Aries. Also, because it is in zero critical Aries, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, we may have confusions because it is retrograde of how to beginning projects. We may have certain confusions regarding our leadership capability and how to take charge of projects or whatever issues that we need to start at hand, because Jupiter is barely there in Aries this week, as again it is moving back into the sign of Pisces So our ideas are going to be between wanting to begin something in the present time, business, what have you, and wanting to revert back into the past to gain insight, Jupiter, about issues, projects, business, finance, all aspects, you name it, to begin again. So we're going to have to make corrections this week with past issues with Jupiter barely there and retrograde in Aries. Now, on Monday, as mentioned, the moon is conjoining Mercury and Libra squaring off to powerful Pluto. But guess what? Yes, there is still that sweet trine between, wide trine between Saturn and Aquarius, Mars in Gemini, and that Libra Mercury moon meetup in Libra. So that's a very pleasing, sweet, easygoing kind of an influence that will pervade through this whole week, which is very positive, and especially on Monday, even with a little bit of a square up to powerful Pluto. But guess what? It is the day before the new moon, and we have Venus, the planet of love, exactly conjoining the sun on Monday as well. So, Venus is the ruler of Libra, the Libra moon, and Libra Mercury in this case. And although Venus is very intense and very passionate, with the sun, that somewhat takes a little bit of the intensity out of the Venus in Scorpio, and it creates a kind of flow. So, Monday should be a very good day for all matters relating to relationships. And yes, with the sun and the ruler of the moon and Mercury, it's about creativity, artistry. Yes, that P word, passion and intensity equally that day. But because it's with the sun, there's a certain balance of give and take on Monday with regards to our relationships. So Monday looks like hard work, but equally that of balance. So let's move ahead a day until the 25th. And guess what? That is the new moon. Yes, it is. Yep, we got the 26th there. So let's go back a day. And that's the 25th, the new moon in Scorpio. And yes, please refer to my new moon in Scorpio video. But to update, yes, the moon is with Venus and the sun and applying a conjunction to the south node in Scorpio. So, yes, Tuesday will be rather intense, but because it's the moon and a new moon in Scorpio, we are going to have a sense of positivity. However, there is a quincunx or an inconjunct, a minor, somewhat of a frustrating aspect with retrograde Jupiter. So don't feel too impatient if whatever you have in mind does not quite get off the ground so fast. So just require a little patience. But nonetheless, this is a very easygoing, yet there's that word again for Scorpio, intense connection on Tuesday. However, as we move further into the week and on now, the 26th of October, we have the T square between the moon in Scorpio, the south node in Scorpio, squaring off with 18 degrees Saturn in Aquarius, and now Mars at 25 degrees. I'm sorry, there's a trine between Mars and Saturn, but between Saturn and Aquarius, the moon and the north node in Scorpio, and the Taurus connection. However, it is nice to have that wide trine between Saturn and Mars, nonetheless, that, as aforementioned, will pervade through the week. But yes, there is this very somewhat of a close T square in the fixed signs come Tuesday. So, or I'm sorry, Wednesday. So by Wednesday, a little bit of that balance from Monday and Tuesday will get a little bit of out of balance because of this fixed T square. So although Monday and Tuesday are kind of harmonious and rather easygoing and so forth, then we look ahead to Wednesday. Yes, it will be a little bit of a rough ride for Wednesday, maybe early on Thursday. But if we keep our head about us, so to speak, and we do not get lost in conflict, because that's generally what the T square is about, the conflict. In this case, we've got fixed signs, so the conflict could stem from our ideas and desire to be right or to be very stubborn and not really consider others' point of view. And this is something that we will have to do, is be very open-minded and not closed-minded to welcome other ideas from other people, especially since we've got Saturn in the sign of Aquarius. But thank goodness we still have a bit of a grand air trine going on Wednesday. So hopefully with the air connection, that will help us to be more detached, more open-minded, and more willing to see the other point of view. But nonetheless, we can't ignore this desire to speak our mind. But do take a hint, do not get lost in conflict and drama. And on a more, well, I guess you could say physical level, because of this T square, especially connected with the North Node and Uranus in Taurus, will have to be observant of some kind of earthquakes or natural disasters that could be brewing or may occur on or around Wednesday of this week. So let's forward again. Oh, and one last thing, we have a sweet trine between the Scorpio connection and the moon to Neptune. So that's also going to help us to be very sensitive to other people's needs on Wednesday. So another bright spot in the day. And hey, looking into spiritual or metaphysical issues, healing, and so on Wednesday will be very soothing. Maybe will help us get over that rocky connection with the fixed emphasis. So let's look ahead to the next day, which is Thursday. And we now have the moon on the 27th, early on in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius, that's one where we feel like we want to really speak our mind, and we are just feeling like there's no hold bar that day on Thursday. Why? Because the moon is in cheery Sagittarius, outspoken Sagittarius, but it's making a barely there, trying to happy, prosperous Jupiter. So for some of us, financially or otherwise, romantic, work wise, however, may have some very positive prosperity, money, good news on Thursday. So perhaps it's the time to buy that lotto ticket come Thursday because you might have some good news. But honestly, it is very early on in Sagittarius, and eventually by Friday, the moon will apply a square off to deceptive Neptune in Pisces, retrograde, by the way. But for now, on Thursday, it's going to be nice to feel some of those very lucky Jupiter and Sagittarius moon vibes. Yes, we will move on. And also, one last thing here, we also have the moon in Sagittarius early on Thursday, but it is applying a sweet sextile within about a day and a half to Mercury. So that's going to be great for clear thinking and negotiation capabilities. So let's look forward a day. And yes, here we are now at 16 degrees, the moon in Sagittarius. And yes, it will gain closer connections with Mercury. So that's going to help us a little bit, especially as we go into Friday when the moon, in fact, makes a sextile then to Mercury to really help us to see the other's point of views. It's great time for business if you have any important meetings. That word again, negotiations, really kind of trying to understand another's point of view. That is for Friday. Very socially oriented, that sweet sextile between Mercury and the moon come uh, Saturday and heading in that direction, however, on Friday. So that's kind of a fun influence, very social, also very productive. It's about getting work done, it's about working with others and figuring out how to make things tick and sharing ideas. Really good aspect on, well, Saturday, even though here we're looking at Friday, between the moon in Sagittarius and Mercury in Libra. And that is extremely productive. But yes, we have an exact square off or close exact square off on Friday between Pluto and Mercury. So although we are being rather broad-minded and wanting to help each other on Friday, especially Saturday, with that connection with Mercury and the moon. On Friday, there is the square off exact pretty much later on in the day between Pluto in Capricorn and Mercury in Libra. So kind of like that square off earlier, it with the fixed T-square, this isn't a time to be stubborn minded. And because we're talking cardinal signs here, cardinal signs like to take the lead, both Libra and Capricorn. So there could be a little bit of a tit for tat, maybe a slight bit of frustration of this is the way I see things, this is the way you see things, and we got to kind of meet in the middle because each feels their ideas of our utmost of importance. So the trick here is on Friday is to be very open-minded to each other. So, okay, we've got that 28 degrees Mercury in Libra. However, it is still very positive indeed within a wide, well, a trine to Mars. So that's also very productive, taking right action with regards to speaking our mind, although we still have Saturn at 18 degrees of Aquarius, not really in the standard 7-8 degrees conjunction with Mercury, but it does lend for some good energy come Friday. So let's move on to the next day, which is Saturday, and that is the 29th of October. And now we've got the moon in Capricorn at 0 degrees that day. So it's just entering the sign of Capricorn, and over the weekend, late in the weekend, probably very late Saturday, going into I should say very late Sunday going into Monday, there then will be a conjunction with Pluto. So, yes, that's all about production and hard work. But let's jump back into Saturday. We've got yet the Sun and Venus in Scorpio conjunct. So, that still lends for, yes, that Scorpio word of intensity, but yet with the conjunction with the Sun, with Venus over the weekend, that's a very warm, sweet connection between those two luminaries. So, although soon, within about a week and a half, no, a week and a half to 10 days, there's going to be an applying T square once more with the Sun and Venus, at least for now, and that may be a little rocky at the time, at least for now, with the Sun with Venus earlier on the degrees of the 6th and 7th degree, Venus and the Sun, respectively, we will get a little bit of warmth from that connection. It's very somewhat sensual, but not overly so or overly passionate. And it is very somewhat friendly and easygoing. It's somewhat of a balanced connection between that 1 degree of Sun and Venus. It's a Cassini connection. And so, with Venus and the Sun that close, it allows for some very warm and sincere, loving affection and understanding on Saturday. And eventually, as we see here, we will have, well, now on the weekend, we've got Jupiter finally moved into the sign of Pisces retrograde, now conjoining wide conjunction and applying a closer conjunction with Neptune. And later on in the month, we'll have the Sun and Venus there. But that's for the next celestial outlook. But it will be a very warm, friendly, very psychic connection later on in the month. But as of this day on Saturday, we have a sweet sextile, especially later on with the moon in Capricorn, that earth water connection. And that's great because earth and water are about keeping our mind on what is sensible, intelligent, taking the practical approach and working with each other to bring about what's best for everybody. That's very fine. But also with Scorpio and the moon in Capricorn over this weekend, it is about business because both Scorpio and Capricorn have a connection with business, conservatism, money, the future. And with Venus and the Sun in passionate Scorpio, that really lends some very pleasant fire to that moon in Capricorn. So another weekend of hard work and determination. And it may be a very good time to get your finances in order. You may have some good news regarding your money or investments and so on and so forth. It could also include real estate, and who knows, on that day, Saturday the 29th, we may get some good news regarding the economy, real estate, and so on. And especially as the moon, the following day, late Sunday and into Monday, will meet up with Pluto. So let's take a look at that as we move forward. Yes, inching closer, the moon in Capricorn too can join Pluto. But yes, it's very productive indeed. And to add to that, we have a very creative connection between the moon and very unique Uranus in Taurus retrograde as yet, and the North Node in Taurus. So that's another very intelligent, very very earthy, sensible connection. But with Uranus, it's about expressing our individuality, our uniqueness, our creativity. Some of us will be able to flaunt our financial genius and money management unique ability on Sunday. So this is a weekend with the Capricorn and the Taurus connection. It's a time of really getting everything together financially. Maybe we will hear some good financial news personally. It's very conservative and it's very hardworking when it's into Capricorn. So, equally, although, yes, there is good news regarding money or finance, investments, and so on and so forth, yes, Capricorn and Taurus are also about hard work, as is in the sign of Scorpio with Venus, the Sun, and in fact, the South Node in Scorpio as well. So, with the Scorpio, Capricorn, Taurus connection, creativity, finance, and hard work over the weekend. And as we get into Monday, then there's going to be some beautiful connections with Neptune and now Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. Another very productive, yet very practical about that which is connected with our intuition, that is which is connected with anything and everything to do with medicine, medical, yes, even our intuition and that which is of the unknown and unseen on Monday. But that is for next week's weekly celestial outlook. So, this week, to surmise, is a pretty good week. Starting off on Monday, we've got the moon in Libra with Mercury. Great for harmony and expressing love and balance because it falls into that grand air trine. Tuesday, the moon goes into Scorpio, and although it's rather intense and we do have to watch for conflict, it is a new moon, always great for beginnings, but because of the connection with Scorpio and the moon, it's also very warm, friendly, and loving. Then the moon Wednesday and Thursday will zip into Sagittarius and we will feel like we want to speak our mind, but because of the connection with Neptune, be very aware of confusing information now that could come about or being confused about what we are hearing. It's not a time to keep secrets, but we're going to feel awfully lucky with that barely there retrograde Jupiter in Aries with the early moon in Sagittarius. Then, as we move on further on in the week, as we approach the weekend, we've got the moon going into Capricorn, making productive connections with the sun. Well, the south node and the moon in Scorpio from early on in the week, Tuesday and Wednesday, is rather productive. But nonetheless, there's a productive connection with the moon and Taurus because it's very earthy and it's very sensible. So it's also going to be the weekend of business, finance, and hard work. So until the next weekly celestial outlook, many, many blessings.